But first, we will start with this. Donald Trump in England, joint press conference with Theresa May. I guess it's the last time they'll have to spend time with each other. It's hard to know which one of them is probably happier. Donald Trump just turning more and more into a weeble. It's weird to see him. I don't like the side is even more disturbing. And he has no idea what he's talking about. He doesn't. It's really shocking. But he stumbles on what is I think a deep agenda. Here it is. He's asked in a press conference about the NHS and in the context of any type of trade deal. Now, of course, in this situation, following a Brexit, we don't know if it's going to be a hard Brexit or a soft Brexit or no Brexit, or we really have no idea. But it's going to happen in October, but we have no idea because it was supposed to happen in May. But the bottom line is, in the event it is a hard Brexit or a fairly hard Brexit.
Did you say heartbreaking?
The other countries making a deal with England may have a lot of leverage. And there is talk amongst White House folks and probably in the conservative movement that if we can leverage the destruction of the national health system that the British have, that'll be good for free market capitalism. And so I don't know if Trump knows what he's talking about here or not, because he doesn't seem to know what the NHS is. He has to ask Theresa May.
Mr. President, Francis Elliott from The Times. Do you agree with your ambassador that the entire economy needs to be on the table in a future trade talk, a trade deal, including the NHS? And Prime Minister, are you tempted to take the Prime Minister President up at his word and stick around for a bit until the trade deal is done?
I think we're going to have a great trade deal, yes. I think we're going to have a great and very comprehensive trade deal. I can't hear him. What?
It's the National Health Service. He says, should the National Health Service be on the table?
Look, I think everything with a trade deal is on the table. When you're dealing on trade, everything's on the table. So NHS or anything else, or a lot more than that. But everything will be on the table, absolutely. Okay.
He doesn't know.
But that's the classic. It's like, yes, he's an idiot, and it's hilarious, and yeah, it's totally on the table. I mean, going back to. Even this is an area where, and it's a useful distinction in some of our arguments, because the Blair government put way more money in the NHS. That was a shift, just labor. But he started to introduce private services in the NHS, and Cameron kept up that process. And a lot of people who've supported Brexit on the market side, they absolutely see it as an opportunity to bring in companies like Aetna.
This is how this dynamic works, too, is that Trump becomes the vehicle for people in the British government or just in British politics who want to privatize the NHS. Trump becomes the vehicle for this, right? And so that there is cover for British politicians, depending on who it is, let's say Boris Johnson maybe, to say, we have no choice. We have to just chip away. It's not a big concession, but we've opened the market to, whatever it is, Aetna or whomever.
It's actually pretty smart the way they're doing that. And it shows the extent to which their populist rhetoric was so hollow all along. Like, if you talk to working class people who voted for Brexit, they say one of the reasons they voted for it is because the NHS was underfunded and they didn't have enough money to cover native born citizens. And now we're just seeing that that's absolutely not the reason why these Brexiteer politicians.
Well, I always use the example.
You got punked.
I always use the example just to echo and fill in. Like, the day after, within literally 24 to 48 hours, it was either Nigel Farage or Boris Johnson or both who had been running around the country saying this amount of money goes to the EU, half of that could go to the NHS.
Right.
And they immediately were just like, yeah.
No, we
Actually,
said
no.
could.
Yeah,
So
right.
It was a hypothetical.
Aspirational.
Yes.
Great book by Zero Books called How to Dismantle the NHS in 10 Easy Steps, which people should start reading and arming themselves, particularly in the UK.